Okay, so now we are post UFC 311. Let's play matchmaker, promoter, whatever the fuck that you want to call it. And just jump right on into this. I do want to clarify, I'm not going to go through every single fight from 311 and every single winner and loser. I'm just going to go over who I think should be talked about, or at least the most notable ones. And to start us off with, we got Tagir Ulanbekov, who got a win over Clayton Carpenter, who was an undefeated fighter to start out with the early prelims. And to be fair, I believe he is number 11 at the ranks right now for the UFC at flyweight. And Tim Elliott is ranked number 10. And he actually beat Tagir 3 years ago. Now it's 2025. But in 2022, he beat him with a decision victory. So, I mean, I think that kind of adds up. You know, you're one below in a ranking as somebody who got a win over you a couple of years ago. You probably want to go get that back before you crack the top 10. Now, the top 10 at flyweight, just because Pantoja has cleared them out does not mean the top 10 is not stacked. The top 10, there's a ton of matchups for him. I just personally think that he needs to crack that top 10 again and go and beat a Tim Elliott and go get that win back. We'll see how it is. I mean, Tim Elliott's last loss was against Muhammad Mokaev. So he's not even in the UFC anymore, but he is a great fighter. Just is what it is. We'll see how Tagir can do, if that's even his next matchup. The next person I want to talk about would be Grant Dawson, who's now top 15 of the welterweights in the UFC. And in my opinion, he has an actual shot to climb these rankings. Now, 170, 155, those are normally the more stacked divisions. Normally the smaller guys are the more skilled, deeper divisions. But 170, 155 is like a good average of everything. And normally the most two stacked divisions is normally a debate every year. But I'm sure the lower you get, you could have your own debate as well. Now that Grant is in the top 15, I think a great matchup for him would be against BDS, Benoit Saint Denis, or even a Jalen Turner. Now, a lot of y'all are giving this man shit about being with Frank Ocean, not spending his time in the gym, or talking shit about Jesus. There's so much to be said about Peyton Talbot right now that he has finally been fraud checked. I don't know. I still believe that he could be pretty fucking good, but now he is still on the road to trying to prove himself and find out where he is in this rankings. Can he be a top 10, a top 15 title challenger? Who knows? But right now, I do know that Barcelos gave him the work and he has to go back to the drawing board and continue to improve. My next matchup for him would probably be Brad Katona. Now, let me know what y'all think about that one. Not sure. I was looking at the rankings on multiple websites. They're both in the top 50 roughly. And I do think that could be a good matchup for Talbot. Bro, Kevin Holland, like, major fan. I respect the work that you do, the promotion you put in, and just who you are. You're going to stand even 10 toes against a Rampage Jackson face to face and tell him to shut the fuck up. That's all you. But we got to figure this out here in the octagon, because you're 1-4 in your last 5, and that's not really how you want to be remembered. We love you. The fans love you. You're 13-10 in the UFC right now. I think you're better than that. Personally, I do. I don't like the fact you're going up and down in weight. And I know you explained that on the Jackson podcast. After the first 20 minutes, it does actually get good, y'all, because at the end, Rampage and Kevin become friends and they kind of squash everything. But regardless, not here for that. Kevin Holland, you explained how you basically smoke like 15 blunts a day. TJ Dillashaw on the UFC 311 post UFC 311 podcast. Basically, I don't want to say shit on you or anything like that, but he basically was like, that's why, dude, you got to like get your shit together. And I'm a little bit in that camp of you got to decide on whether you're going to be a 70er, an 85er. I think you should be a 70er because obviously you're not a small frame, but you're smaller versus the 85ers, of course, because some of those dudes are coming from 200 plus, and that's not really your frame. And I do think you got an opportunity at 70, even though Bilal's the champ, The guys at 185 are gonna just be on top of you. They are massive. You're gonna have a more tougher time at 85 than you would at 70. But I understand the draws because you're gonna have to do weight cutting. You're gonna have to train more. There's a lot to be put into this work. So I'm not saying this lightly in terms of I honestly don't understand because I don't fight. But at the end of the day, I know from the outsider's perspective, it's a lot of work to probably go down to 170 versus fighting at 185. But I think you're better than what you've been putting out. And I think you even tweeted something like that. You got to clean your shit together. You got to clean your shit up, something like that. Now, Rainier de Ridder, honestly, love it. Was not rooting for you to beat Kevin Holland. Wasn't rooting for Kevin Holland to beat you. But I love that you've joined the UFC. You've tested your abilities against a Gerald Meerschaert. Now you beat a Kevin Holland. I know you mentioned you want to be a two-time champ in the UFC and see if you can recreate that from one championship. That's a tough fucking task. That's fucking tough, bro. Now, if you can, good on you. But I don't know. We got to at least get you in the top 10, top 15, top 5, whatever of 185 and be a title contender there first before you think about 2 championships. How is the UFC going to push you? Are they going to take you little by little to climb these rankings? You're 34, and I'm not saying you're going to be aged out and not be able to compete because obviously over 170, past 35, it's not as one-sided for the championship. I believe the record is 1-20 something. This is where I think his next matchup should be. Both guys coming off a win over Kevin Holland. Roman Dolidze versus Rainier de Ridder in the top 10 does give him an opportunity at that rankings. Now, if you do not want to give him Roman Dolidze, you can give him a Michel Pereira, or you can give him Apollo Costa, or you can give him, who else I got? Jack Hermanson. If you don't want to feed him to Roman Dolidze right out the gate because he just got to the top 10, well, guess what? You got 3 other guys that I just named. There is an opportunity for him to get a shot at the top 15, obviously. Now, whether he's going to get one at the top 10, that would be with Roman Dolidze, in my opinion, and that would be the only option. So where's Jailton Almeida going to go? Because he lost to Curtis Blades, who is now lined up with another fight to defend his rank. And then is he going to go fight a Cyril Gane? Because he technically, to Dana White's idea and his point of view, he didn't beat Alexander Volkov. So if Volkov is going to go up in the rankings, not actually, but theoretically, then wouldn't he be the next guy above Jailton Almeida, a Cyril Gane, who is, obviously he's not going to face a Tom Aspinall. He's not going to face a John Jones. So where is he going to go? I think Cyril Gane's probably his next opportunity. And ultimately, that's if they don't even want to do the Derek Lewis rematch. And then we got Yuri Prochazka, who just beat Jamal Hill. Where does he go after losing twice to the champion? Like, honestly, because this is getting similar to a Max Holloway Volkanovski situation where he beat him twice. Then he's trying to defend his spot to just get a 3rd championship, just an opportunity, to be honest with you. And that's if he even gets it, because Alex is now lined up with Ankalaev. So does he become champion if he beats Pereira? And then do they do a rematch? So it could go on a whole loop there, depending on the outcome. And then Yuri, he's got to defend his spot, obviously. And he already beat Rakic. He already beat Hill. Who would be the next one? Now that Jan, this is so dumb to me. Why is Jan Blachowicz the only one that actually gave Alex Pereira trouble at 205 and didn't beat him as champ? He didn't even get a chance at the championship with Alex as champion. But Ankalaev does? How? To me, makes 0 sense. Almost no sense. Okay? But hey, that's my point of view. But I guess you can't come off of a loss to then go. You just lost to the champ. That was his last fight, Jan Blachowicz. He lost to Pereira before Pereira was champion. That was his last fight. It's been that long. That's how much people probably don't remember. But the Polish power is real, and he's facing Carlos Ulberg. But now let's get back to the UFC 311 opponents. With Yuri Prochazka, I think he needs to face a Khalil Roundtree, because why the fuck not? That would be fun to watch. And then now with Hill having a couple of losses, I personally think I would put him up with Rakic, but Rakic is also on a slide, so I'm going to give him to Reyes. I think Rakic and Reyes is a fun matchup. Jamal Hill versus Nikita Krylov, that needs to happen because Krylov lost his fight at 309 against Azamat, but Azamat tested positive for some banned substance, which then they ended up finding in his dietary supplement. I don't know. Crazy fucking circle of events, but I think Krylov, coming off his shoulder injury, needs to face a Jamal Hill because he's lost. Think about this. He's lost to Jan. He's lost to Glover. So like multiple champions, not just some guy. So let's not just throw him under the rug because he's got 9 losses. He is in the top 10 for a reason. He's number 8 and Hill is number 4. So I think that that's not that bad to defend against. Okay, so now we are here to the co-main event. Merab. Who does Merab go against? And personally, I don't think that he needs to be defending that championship for a little bit. He needs to rest up. He needs to heal. When you look at the top 6, they've all basically been inactive. Like, why hasn't O'Malley fought in? I know Cory came off a loss to Umar. I mean, Jan just beat Figgy in November. There needs to be some movement here. And these are my thoughts. If we got Sean O'Malley defending his number 1 contendership against a Jan or Cory Sandhagen, now that matters a lot because it depends on how much time Merab needs to heal up. Because in my opinion, O'Malley should not be getting the next shot at the title. I just talked about that with Jan Blachowicz. He lost to Pereira and then he's going to go right into another title shot with Pereira. That didn't really make sense, even though I think he should get the title shot over Ankalaev. I just don't see why O'Malley needs to be fighting for the belt immediately. Why wait even longer? You need to go and defend that number 1 contendership. You need to go face a Cory Sandhagen. Cory put everything on the line for Umar, and then Umar got the title shot. Obviously, I mean, he got the win. But ultimately, he put that ranking up on the line. Nobody wanted to face an Umar. Nobody. He was the boogeyman at 135 before Merab slayed him. Now, it is what it is. Is O'Malley going to wait it out to get his title shot rematch against a Merab? I wouldn't be upset at him because I understand the money, the implications. You only get you only get so many chances at the belt. And why wouldn't you wait for a championship shot instead of having to defend it? I can understand that. But I really love Arman Tsarukian's approach with, I'll go fight a Charles Oliveira and get the number 1 contendership and like defended to go and face an Islam, even though he's the reason he had to do that with the pulling out. Why isn't O'Malley going to go and defend his number 1 contendership? He's not just given another title shot, in my opinion, especially with that performance. He didn't do anything crazy. He didn't have some crazy title run. He didn't have some defense like streak. I mean, you need to go defend it. Go face Cory. Go face Jan. And then in my opinion, when Merab heals up, the winner of O'Malley versus Jan or Cory can then face a healthy Merab. And then let's say O'Malley goes with Jan, then the loser gets to face Umar. But I think he needs to face Cory Sandhagen. Umar can face Jan. When Umar heals up, obviously, because he just went through a fucking war and broke his hand. And I guess that already answers my next matchup for Umar. I think Umar needs to face a Jan. Peter Yan, man. He needs to. He's number 2. Umar got a title shot after beating Cory. Cory needs to face O'Malley and Jan needs to face Umar when they're healthy. Now, before I get to Islam Makhachev, I do want to cover Money Moicano. Look, Renato, you've been taking it like a champ because you're a champ in life. You're killing it. Just keep doing it. I love the honesty. You know, I need more fans so I can get another title shot. I need y'all behind me so I can get another opportunity. I just love how he's been taking this loss. Not that you like to have a good loser, but the reality of everything, putting it into perspective and not making up some bullshit is obviously so much better to have as a mindset instead of trying to come up with some sort of excuse as to why you lost. Now, I think he needs to be facing a Paddy Pimblett, because that in its own right makes itself, because the storyline's there. Paddy's calling him out. He's calling out Paddy. Yeah, he was calling out Paddy before the Islam fight. Now, if we do want to have a fight outside of Paddy, Michael Chandler, I think, is a good matchup. Not like for a fight, like an exciting fight. I don't think that he is just going to easily win against a Michael Chandler, but it is a good fight to watch. Like, he is definitely going to have an opportunity to beat Chandler. Just whether he's going to or not. I think that's one of those fights that I don't know what's going to happen, and that's why I'm tuning in. And I would say the same thing probably for Paddy versus him as well. The 155 division is just absolutely stacked. Islam, main event, the best 155er in the world, needs to face Arman Tsarukyan. And I know we just talked about him losing the number one contendership. I know we talked about him having to fight a Charles Oliveira in a 5-round fight, possibly just to go and get another shot at Islam. But he's the only number one contender to an Islam Makhachev. I think he's the only one we all want to see. He's the only one that, even though it's a rematch, he gave him his toughest fight, and that was Arman's debut in the UFC. Are you kidding? Like, I want to see how much he's grown, gotten better, and I do want to see the same thing for Islam Makhachev, because that was like Islam's 4th or 5th fight on his winning streak of like 10 fights. So I really want to see how much he's grown to get to the championship. And then they say when you're a champion, you get 15 to 20% better. How much better did Islam get, or did Arman catch up? Like, I don't know. That's why this is the best number one contendership, and it needs to happen. This is the fight. But at the same time, I understand Ramadan and the timing. You pulled out last second. We can't be gifting people title shots, even though it was an accident. It wasn't something that he tried to go out of his way to do. It's just a tough position to be in. But his mindset, Arman Tsarukyan's mindset on this whole thing, can't lie to you. A lot of respect. Gotta envy it. Gotta love it. He was on the Jackson podcast talking about he doesn't care. He'll do the Charles 5-rounder if we have to, just to get another shot at Islam. This is what he cares about. He wants to make a name for himself. He doesn't want to be known as, oh, that's so-and-so's son, because his dad is well known and has money. Now, he debunked the rumors of being a billionaire on the podcast, but he did claim that he does have a lot of money. So just to be clear, because I know I kept seeing that shit everywhere of, he's a billionaire, he's going to be on the island. And he also claimed that they don't have an island, that he would buy one if he wasn't fighting. And that's where he would be. That's the thing. This guy, his mindset, the way he trains, this is the number one contender. We don't want to see Charles in Islam 2. I don't, unless Charles beats Arman somehow in their rematch. But Charles already lost to Arman, which is why Arman is the number one contender. Just how I see it. But at the end of the day, I also understand the business. I also understand it's a lot of money. And Charles Oliveira just came off a win to Michael Chandler at 309. You're only as good as your last fight, right? That's what they say. So we'll see how it goes. Can Charles leapfrog him? I hope not, but I could see that they're probably going to do some sort of 5-rounder main event, because that's probably best for the UFC. Trying to get to an international fight week, Islam versus winner of that rematch. I mean, to be honest with you, I got Arman again. He did look not gassed, but he did look like he was slowing down, going into a possible 4th and 5th round. Is what it is. Arman Tsarukyan still my number one contender, and I still want to see that fight. Who is the true best 155er on the planet? We got to find out. We got to find out with Islam and Arman. All right? Let me know what you think of my matchups and my thoughts here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Good luck to Izzy and Amavov. I'll talk about that fight night coming up February 1st. Appreciate you.